sort of frustrating because you're still left with a wider collection. But we can only speak to our specialty. And Adrian has been able to identify other works in the collection that don't fall under just that, that core group, but that may fall under relevance, like to the school district level. So that's where we are.
So Jacqueline, what that means is that because we're working under the auspices of the museum in terms of looking at the art collection, it doesn't preclude having conversations about which parts of the art collection should stay within the district, and then they're for the mission of really the district and how that works. That is something that we did at the intermediate unit. Like, it was a certain well, primarily our paintings, because we had also a lot of artifacts. And we had to, as an art trust board, and I can have really Judge McMaster speak to this, to make a decision of what fit into the mission of our art collection and what did not fit into the mission of our art collection. So I would say that if that kind of thinking, I'm looking at my museum experts over here, if that kind of thinking is okay, that could be replicated for Pennridge School District as to what is it that you want, what is the mission of your art collection, and what fits into that mission, and then what does not fit into that mission. And I think decisions can be made. Thank you.
Yeah. Let me just say, I mean, we went through this in the IU art collection a number of years ago when we realized we had a lot of things in the collection and we had to really decide what our collection was supposed to be about. And our collection, ultimately, our mission is it's about Bucks County artists, Bucks County art, and it's art that can get out to students, because that's what it was started as, a traveling art gallery. I'll give you an example. We had a collection of Disney cells. And we went through a multi-year process to examine what we should do with those Disney cells. Walt Disney donated them when they set up the Walt Disney Elementary School in Levittown or Fairless Hills back in the 50s, and he hand autographed them. They were valuable pieces of art. Unfortunately, they were pieces of art that needed to be kept in very strict conditions without light or anything, and we ultimately decided that they were not suitable for our collection. And in keeping with our policy, which is what most museums go, we decided that the way that we were going to dispose of them was, yes, we were going to deaccession them or sell them, but we were going to use that money solely to buy current art to add to our collection that fit within the mission statement. Because we recognized that our art collection had been started 60-some years ago and had been very well endowed by a lot of local artists, but had kind of stagnated. So we've used the money that we got from auctioning off those pieces to buy more art from current artists so that our collection is not stagnant. But I mean, that was the kind of thing that we had to first decide what the mission is. What are we going to have for our art for? And then, based on that, decide what should stay and what should be disposed of. So that's one of the things that you as a board will have to decide is, what's your mission? And we've given you some options and some things to consider, but once you decide what the mission is, then it's better. Then you're better able to say, does this fit in that mission or does it not? Any other questions?
The adoptive painting program that you propose, have you done that at any other public school district? And if so, how successful was it?
We've had a couple of instances in the IU where we've had legislative action grants and things like that, but we've never actually tried this. It's an idea that we kind of came up with is, okay, what could we do what could we suggest that would help you? And we understand, as I said, I was a school board member, I understand trying to go to the taxpayers and say I need, 2 mills to conserve art is an almost impossible task. So it was an idea that we thought may be able to help. And I know like Grimm, Bean, and Thatcher's here. Larry Grimm is a descendant of Walter Baum, was very active in various art projects at the Michener and at the or at the Justice Center. So that's when we started thinking about what could we suggest and what possible ways could you get some funding, because we understand that some of your collection needs to be conserved and needs work on it.
I will piggyback off of that in that we haven't done a strict adopt a painting program at the Michener, but we tried this year for the first time a crowdfunding platform in order to help us accession a work of art that we couldn't have otherwise afforded. And it was extremely successful. There's a real sense of community pride, and there's a real understanding about sort of chipping in a little bit and helping the community purchase a painting really for the community because it's for their regional art museum. It's something that I think the tone fits in exactly with why this collection was established, which really was having art here for the students of your community. It's something that's a really sort of a no-brainer PR move for local businesses. There's ways to have permanent visibility in terms of either a brass plaque or any marketing materials that would go along with a program like this. We can absolutely sit down and show you how the mechanics of the crowdfunding platform works. It was very straightforward, and we were able to get donations really ranging from like $5 and $10 to a couple thousand. And since you would probably only be raising money for conservation, and the conservation work ranges within the collection, you wouldn't be hitting the $35,000 that we needed to range for a painting. You're really only talking about $1,500 to $2,000 per of the works that could potentially need it. So it's something that other museums have tried and has been very successful.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion.
I can also add that Souderton School District, and we're happy to connect you with Souderton School District, they worked with Univest in order to reinstall the works in their auditorium. And they have a beautiful display there of Walter Baum pieces. So they worked actively with their community, and we're happy to put you in touch with them for some additional advice.
I had a question about the cost rate. You mentioned $1,500 to $2,000 for conservation. So I'm wondering, is that for each painting and for what time period, or is that just to repair it in the beginning, or is that an ongoing cost?
Such a good question. It would depend piece by piece, and we're generally, and because we're not conservators, we're only giving that as a ballpark figure for one piece, which I know sounds like quite a lot, but it's the reality of an art collection is that no matter what, you're going to need eventually to conserve things. The nice thing is that really once work is conserved, depending on the work, it's not going to need to be cleaned or conserved again for a very long time, and longer if the works are cared for properly, which is really why the first priority for all of us for your collection is making sure that it gets into a climate-controlled, safe environment now. Because the longer these things stay in closets or on top of filing cabinets or in boiler rooms, the worse the condition is going to be, really daily. So it's just something we need to be mindful of. That said, not all of the works in your collection need that level of conservation, so don't take that figure and multiply it by however many works are here. I will say that there are ways that you can also partner with conservators who, if they know they're getting a certain amount of works, oftentimes they will work to bring the rate down, sort of knowing that there are more works coming. And because it's a public school district, it would be something that I would see a number of conservators that I know who would be happy to help make that an affordable process.
And I can, from the IU's perspective, because we deal with the same issue in our Arts Trust Board, we have ongoing conversations about conservation, and so we are doing only 2 paintings per year. Like we are not saying, oh, we have 20 paintings that need to be conserved, we have to do all that. We are not doing that. We're putting it on a time plan, a timeline, so that it's small chunks, small bites of the apple that can work. However, I'm loving the Adopt the Painting, although we don't have any data to support that whatsoever. But then also, Louisa's suggestion is fantastic. Like the GoFundMe kind of things are are very, people absolutely contribute to those. It's a great suggestion that we will add to the plan.
I just meant that as an example.
It's a
Sorry.
great, it's a
I just
great,
meant that as an example similar to
Yeah.
the adoptive painting.
It's a
So I
great-
think
yeah.
they're cut from the same cloth. Any other questions?
I have another question. I'm wondering, did you consider putting the art in the high school auditorium? And is putting it at the Justice Center, that's just a summer option, and then it would come back to the school district during the
We
school
would be
year?
happy to find places on site here for you, absolutely. If you're a high school auditorium, which I haven't seen that space, really for us, the standard for making sure that the works are stable and secure, we would love to see more of them on the walls here, but the site needs to be air conditioned year round, which for most of the schools that we've talked to, summer becomes a real problem. So of course you could have them in the auditorium. The issue would just be then you would need to find, if it's not air conditioned year round, you would need to either take them all down for the summer, put them in your admin offices, or find another location. The Justice Center was really proposed as a way to diversify our options because that space is air conditioned year round. It is a community building, and it is exceptionally secure. That's something we didn't really go into in the presentation, that we suggested the admin offices initially because there's an assumption that those are used year-round and that they're climate controlled, but putting works out sort of back into the hallways like a number of the school districts had them initially, is that the reality is that there are just so many more students, and putting them in sort of very public places, you're always at a risk of anything from a student wearing a backpack bumping it up into it backwards, to something falling off the wall, to someone walking out with it, God forbid. So it's just, we can absolutely help explore that space, but there are other issues to consider. There are ways that we've talked about with other school districts like New Hope, Silbury, where because they're running into those same issues, but they want the work seen sort of outside of their admin offices, they're making high quality reproductions of the works, and then those can go anywhere. You can put posters or prints of the works in the collection, in the hallways, on the ceiling, wherever you want, and they'll be safe and fine, and if something happens to them, you can replace them. But again, the priority for us is just helping you get the works safe and stable.
Just one thing, what was expressed to us was that there's a problem during the summer when a lot of the buildings are not things. So that's why we talked about the Justice Center. Not that we wouldn't like to keep your art for a long time, but it may well be that that's a place for the summer, and then they go back to libraries or something during the school year, and that could be something that could develop into a long-term relationship, because that was the concern we were trying to address. What happens when the buildings aren't kept in the proper climate control, and will the art deteriorate? And we want to make sure that you have an option that, that doesn't happen.
Any other questions?
I'm just wondering what the next step is, and what we need to
That was gonna be my
do.
question.
Yeah.
Sounds like we need to define the mission. What do we really want to do with this artwork? And then, once we do that, they can let us know which paintings fit the mission, and then if we want to auction off any other ones, they would obviously be the ones that don't make that list. That's how I hear it.
Well, my question, just like what you had spoke about, the option 1, 2, and 3 here. So we're talking about this summer, so do we, for the Michener Art Museum, it says July 2017, so is that something we should be discussing now to move forward with, in addition, as well as the Justice Center?
You already have those paintings, correct, that you want it for
So is that in the
display?
works to happen?
well, we've requested the loans from, I'm sorry.
We've requested 5 works for the exhibition. I know the paperwork has been sent. So those are the first 5. And then in conjunction, we would arrange it where when our installers go to you to pick up the works, that could start the process of facilitating to move some of the works to storage and so forth.
Yeah, essentially, the paperwork for the exhibition went first because
Right.
just for exhibition planning purposes, that paperwork needs to go. But we can do an additional round of paperwork so that the Michener could take on more works. And if you like, I don't know sort of what's easier for you for the summer, we could put paperwork together to help bring those works to the Michener at the Justice Center to make sure that this group of works is safe for the summer. The works that are sort of under the umbrella of the Michener's, potential exhibition mission. And that would give you time to look at the rest of the collection, see if there are ways to integrate other works into the space here, or even look at the works that are on that list and see if there's ways you'd like to bring them back here.
Can you talk to?
So, when we look at the Michener, the Justice Center, and Pennridge itself, we estimated that to be about 55 paintings. So, when we looked at that collection and the value, having space for 55 of the paintings is taking, what's the word I want, still keeping that core artwork in the district, because that is a sizable number of paintings that could be exhibited. And as we go further along the decision-making process, as we said earlier, other things that could be, in fact, other organizations, other institutions broached, such as perhaps for the African artifacts, maybe something that you don't keep in the district. But the 55 paintings, and when you really study the history of these paintings, I have to just tell you, I am not an artist, but I get to work with this collection. I'm so humbled by these artists who just sort of hit up their buddies and said, hey, here, give a painting to the school, and then later on it's worth $100,000. I mean, these are renowned artists. Like, you own these really special works.
And just to add, and emphasizing what Eddie's saying, I mean, these artists and these works are so integrally, I can't speak, so tied into the history of this region and its cultural heritage. And if you need help and guidance with assessing your mission, and the research that I've been able to uncover and help establish the background for some of these pieces can also inform that mission. So, we're happy to help and work with you in figuring that out, because that's pretty daunting in and of itself.
Yeah, just one final thing. I mean, we're proposing, the Michener obviously wants to borrow these 5 paintings for their exhibition. That's one thing. The other thing is, as I said, we were told that there was a concern about the summer, and we're trying to give you an option that will help you through that period so that you'll have more time to actually make your final decisions as to what you want to do. And in the meantime, everything will be in a safe, secure environment. So that's what we're trying to help you with.
Does the museum have any way of assessing the interest in one of these exhibits? I mean, I've certainly been in the Michener and admired paintings, some more than others, not surprisingly, and also at the IU. It's a treat when, if you serve on the IU board, you get to see the paintings that hang on the main walls within the building. But does the museum have any way of determining what the interest of the public that come to see the expositions is, or exhibitions?
You're good.
Sure, I can certainly add to that. Just to give you an example, with the installation with the New Hope Salisbury School District collection, it's received so many positive feedback. I mean, people are coming in and they've never seen this work before. I mean, and also we have community members who have gone to the district. We have people coming in, oh my gosh, I was in the schools when this was hanging on the wall. So there's a resonance with not only the community that goes to that district, but also to people who are coming in and seeing the works and just saying, oh my gosh, I didn't know that there's this history. So it was just a perfect springboard after we had installed the show, and in speaking in the curatorial department and our director and everything, and we thought, this is an untapped history. And not everybody knows that there's an amazing history about not only we have this burgeoning art colony in the early 20th century, but we also have these artists very involved in the schools and educating kids. So yes, it was a natural, just kind of next step for us to talk about and share this history.
I will say too, to your question about process and the ways that we identify shows that the museum wants to put on, we have meetings almost every month between different departments at the museum. So the curatorial department will essentially pitch ideas for shows to the rest of the museum. The concept for this show was something that our marketing department was really excited about, because things that bring people to museums like the Michener are stories not just about the community, but stories that have this hidden history aspect, like Adrian's talking about. It ties into a lot of trends sort of in the wider museum field. People are really interested in their local roots, but that doesn't mean that they're necessarily going to want to go over to, like, unfortunately, they're not going to want to go necessarily to the historical society and say, give me a tour. They want hidden history, sort of quirky, strange facts. And this fits that so well. And of course, it ties into just a general interest in sort of what the history of the arts in this region is. So it ticks a number of boxes for us. And it's exciting because it appeals to nearly every age group. You have people who were students here, remember, because there are people who still come and see the work from New Hope and say, I remember that painting from when I was in school here. So at that age group, you have families, so you have parents wanting to talk to their children about ways that people used to learn in classrooms. And then you have school groups that come and see the works and talk about them in a museum setting. So it works for us in lots of different ways. And is hopefully is a good reflection of the school district's support to the show as well.
No, I speak on that too.
So at the IU, related to this topic, so I'm very excited about the exhibit that's coming up in July. And I was concerned that at the IU, which we have a lot of paintings on exhibit, that many of our staff did not know about the art collection. So just about probably 3 weeks ago, I did an hour-long presentation at one of what's called a Catch-22 meeting, where we bring our whole staff together. So it's this interactive presentation on our art collection. And I would say 90% of our own staff did not know the history of our art collection that they are with every single day. After that, I took them, I mean, it was so well received, I had to take them on a tour to the boardroom. That was our field trip after the presentation. But so many people have come up to me and said, oh my gosh, we did not know what we had. We had no idea. So now we have staff stopping in the hallways and saying, you know, look at this painting. And I've been asking them to email me as to which is their favorite paintings. So it is like a time for rebirth. And this is, this exhibit at the Michener could not be more timely, because other school districts are just like, are confronting what you're confronting, is they're finding this artwork. And so there's this, because I've had 10 years of getting to know our art collection, the specialness of it is what I'm just so humbled by. The other thing, I don't know if you know that I didn't preview, but there's a very big, very heavy book on New Hope Impressionism art. It's literally this big, this thick. It has your artists in it. This was a world-renowned school of art. That whole thing that happened in New Hope, like people were in Paris studying, they came over, and they settled in the Delaware Valley because the Delaware River was as beautiful as the Seine River in Paris. So that's the kind of history that we have of Bucks County. I came from Center County. I have to tell you, the Susquehanna never did it for me like the Delaware River does it. We didn't have great artists all along the Susquehanna. It is the Delaware River that's so special. So you can, I believe the library has that book. If not, I have it in my office. If ever you would like to borrow, it's a very big, heavy book on New Hope, of Pennsylvania Impressionism.
Just one final thing about that, how interesting this collection is worldwide now. We've recently had a request from the IU
That's right.
to have a museum in France make a duplicate or a big poster of one of our paintings, because they are doing an exhibit of artists from other countries, including here, that went to that village and that area and did paintings. So our art is going to be displayed in France this summer.
Right. And it's also going to New Mexico. I mean, we get requests from museums across the country where through the Michener, then we sign off on the loan. It's really pretty cool. So we're saying, we want to work with you so you're never alone in working with the art collection. I certainly won't be alone. We just happen to have a museum in our backyard that is a phenomenal museum that can help facilitate this.
Right. We know you have a further agenda. We're not the only things on the agenda,
That's
so.
right.
if-
We appreciate you coming out to
Yeah.
give us all this information, because it's really been, it's wonderful. I mean, we've been going along here really not knowing what to do with all of it, so this is wonderful, but,
Well, the only thing I want to say is I'm sure you'll have other questions. Let us know. We'll be
Okay.
glad to answer them through your administration or come back if the board wants us to come back.
okay, thank you.
Okay?
So as far as, I guess for the board, the question, as far as moving forward with these for the summer, are we in agreement with?
Yes.
For the summer, yeah, which I think is wonderful that we can, start the process too of bringing it out of the closets and everywhere else and start to appreciate all of it. And I think that once it's out there, like what you're saying, people don't realize what we have in the community, the students to see this and understand what it's all about and the history and everything. So I think this is a fantastic opportunity, and thank you.
Great,
Thank you.
wonderful. Well, thank you.
I'm just wondering about the, putting it in the district administration office. Is our goal to get it there also by the summer? And then what would be the cost of that? Well, no, they don't.
Mr. Daubert, I know, was looking at some areas in the district office where we could hang some of it. I don't know that it would be a cost to do it. We could probably, Mr. Loeffler, our internal folks could probably hang it. Yes, no?
Yep.
Okay.
You could have,
I'm happy to come out too with our registrar and our preparator, and we can help assess where that would go. And of course, we wouldn't charge the district for that at all. That's fine.
no, we can help.
In terms of next steps, I think you're right. I think in terms of what works are going where, that would sort of be the next question. We know the 5 that would come into the exhibit, and then I think next steps for us would be finding out which works would go to the Michener, which we could help put in the district offices, and we would obviously want your feedback on that,
Right.
and which could be accommodated by the courthouse for the summer.
And then we would also need, are we going to have a committee decide on the mission and the next steps after that? Who's going to work on that?
How that process is going to work as far as.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like these folks have an idea based on what our collection is, what the mission should be.
To help
So
guide with that.
Mr. Daubert and I could speak with maybe Adrian and then relay that back to the board, and then if the board has questions, we heard them say they'd be happy to come back.
Go ahead, Kirsten.
Yeah, I just think there should be more people involved in, yeah, I don't know, either some teachers or other people.
I mean, as far as immediacy for deciding your mission, that doesn't need to be something you would need to do tomorrow. I mean, you can take the time to figure out who should be on that committee, what that looks like, while we can help get those works stable for the summer. That's no problem.
If you want to see the auditorium,
Is this
last
it?
set of doors on the right before you exit the building.
I'm sure you tell me we're standing in it.
Probably are open because.
Well, it is open.
Okay.
I think one of the music groups is in there
Is
tonight.
it climate controlled through the summer, or is the air conditioning off?
Air conditioning's off in
Ah,
summer.
there we
The
go.
answer is no.
Okay.
All right,
Okay.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
you.
Thank you.
Right.
So we will move on to then, our second item tonight is obsolete items. We have letters A through C. Any questions on those? It looks like they're, for the most part, going to public surplus. Any questions? Third item then is review of facilities bids and RFP results. Mr. Loeffler?
Thank you. We did receive bids and RFPs in on April 19th. The first one I want to go over is bid number 18113. It's district-wide HVAC filters. We had 5 bids that went out. We had 2 that came back. Low bid was Trident Filters for the amount of $16,074.13. Trident Filters is also Coasters. Second bid was lamps and ballasts. That was an RFP number 1803. 8 bids were sent out and 3 were open. RFPs were open. I'd like to recommend Trader for the amount of $11,512.42. You see Doylestown Electric was just a few dollars above that. That was close bid.
Hey, Jeff,
Yes.
that's a good question.
Sure.
On the ballasts, they're for fluorescent lights?
All fluorescent lights.
Yes.
Yeah, ballast and fluorescent, yes.
Are we looking at converting them to LED?
Well, again, we have just for the last 9 years have remodeled all of our elementary schools, and we brought them all into the T8s. Maybe about 2 or 3 years ago, we started to incorporate over to the LEDs outside wall packs and parking lot lights. So I'm not sure it pays to re-lamp something that's just been relamped in the last few years from T8 to LED. I don't think the cost payback is,
Can we take a look at that going forward?
well, going forward, we are LED going forward.
Because $11,000 worth of ballasts and lamps, I think there's some payback to be had there, converting as well as the electrical savings. And the heat, all these things generate heat.
Bid last year was 18,000, so in fact, we're coming down already over the years. So, yeah, we can certainly look into it, and anything moving forward, we have been, the field house, West Rock Hill, I believe was the last lighting project we did, and exterior fixtures were all LED. Interior, and we'll use them where we can interior also, and my electrician is replacing with I don't know of any school that are actually using them. They're getting there, they really are. And 3 years ago, I'd say not at all, and 2 years ago, I'd say we're getting closer, and we are getting closer, but I still don't know of any schools that are using LED in their classrooms for classroom lighting. It's getting very close though. But yes, we'll continue to look into it and move forward.
Thank you.
If I could add real quick, it's been in the last 2 years that the LEDs are starting to get to a level now where we're starting to put them in across the board, interior and exterior. And what we've done now is anything that we do new, exterior ones always work. So we have several projects where we did LED. Any of the interiors moving forward, yes, we're at that level with the controls and the lights now. So when the opportunity comes up, we certainly will do that.
Appreciate that, because I know in industries, mine in particular, we are converting everything over to get out from under the footprint, the heat, the energy savings, et cetera.
Yeah, you take this room here, we're looking into this, and these are obviously high output, 500 watt mercury vapors or whatever. So I had my electrician look into it, and we'd have to switch the whole can over, which is okay, we can even do that, but it's also worked on a low voltage dimmers that are back here. So the whole electrical part of it had to be redone also. So to say to stick an LED bulb in there, I would love to, and if I could, I would. But it's more than a can change, it's also low voltage change to 120 volts to the switching to the dimmers that control that. So we do have those issues in parts of the school that we do look into. But we're putting a lot of LEDs in though, we really are. Okay, continue. Custodial maintenance, transportation, uniforms, and mat rentals, RFP 18-04. So the uniforms is normally, we do every year, and that came in at $12,336.50. That's Clemens uniform. Transportation jumped onto our bid with rental uniforms and also mats that they have in their offices that they come in weekly and clean them up and take them out, clean them, and bring in new ones. Same with their uniforms. Their uniforms are on a weekly pickup exchange, where our uniforms from my department are purchased. So Clemens uniform again has been low bid for many years at $12,336.50. Medical waste disposal, I was on a 3-year bid with that. It's up this year. We sent 3 out, 3 bids came back. We're looking at Medflex for $3,650 a year for the next 3 years. They actually beat out, I had Stericycle many years ago, so it's the same contractor. And last is pest control, RFP 1806. Western Pest has been formerly my pest control. Terminix came in this year with a lower bid at $5,408. And I apologize, that wasn't the last bid. I have one more. Dry erase boards, RFP 18-08. 5 bids were sent out. Looks like 4 have come back. I'd like to recommend Schiffler Equipment in the amount of $5,725.45. That's 1 whiteboard for Bedminster, 5 for Penn Central, and 6 for Penn South.
Any questions before you do these? So we'll move that forward. Item number 4 is review of the Sellersville Elementary walk-in freezer bid results.
Okay, Sellersville Elementary, we talked about going out to bid for a walk-in freezer. We had 2 companies that put in bids. I'd like to recommend ASL Mechanical for $40,600 for the base bid. There were no alternates on that. It's a pretty basic job. Both companies have done a lot of work for us, but ASL is also a very good company.
And I noted in there that it came in under budget, you have 50,000 budgeted?
Correct, yes.
Okay. So and then item number 5, the review of the district-wide phone system, the RFP results.
Sleep.
Good evening. I don't have anything quite as exciting as that whole art presentation here, but I'm going to try my best to wow you with a little bit of VoIP up here. And hopefully we can get as excited about what you guys just heard about, but I doubt it. So anyway, what I would like to do right now is bring to the board the recommendation for the voice over IP system that we have been vetting out for multiple months. I'd like to start with a little bit of our current system and kind of bring you forward to why we are at where we are currently. So currently our phone system is in a Watsu. And if anybody up there can say they've ever heard of a Watsu, please raise your hand, because I don't know where that came from, but it's about 15 years old at this point, as far as we can tell. It's built on aging PBX technology, and we really can't update it as it stands at this point. So, we had been tasked with going out to find a replacement phone system. Currently, the Watsu system, we are serviced by CSI, not the cool CSI, but I don't even know what CSI stands for, to tell you the truth, but they come in and they fix the phones when they go down. And we also get our phone service through Level 3, which is our local provider. Currently, our voicemail server is obsolete. I like to say we kind of bless it every time there's a power outage or anytime we have to reboot it for anything. It's running on an XP box. It's old. Every time we want to move somebody around, anytime staff changes, we have to pull CSI in. It requires a billable on-site service call for any kind of staff's moves, adds, changes. We can do some of it ourselves, but if there's anything like at the beginning of the school year when people might move around, especially in the high school, we're moving a lot of teachers around, we do have to bring somebody on site to do that. And then the last thing that we've been incurring are some outages. In fact, we just had a brief outage at Dibler on Monday, Tuesday of this week. Sometimes it comes from the level 3 end, sometimes it's from our aging computer, our aging equipment, sometimes it's a fuse that blows. We've had outages in April, March, August, and October. They've run from a couple hours to the one time we were down for 2 days, although that was a break in a fiber line, and there's nothing you can really do about that. But that's why we're looking for a new phone system. Just to give you a little update on what we currently have. So to take you through a little bit of a timeline here then, the funding was actually secured for this project back in 2015, I believe it was, through capital projects. So we began to seriously vet solutions with the internal team back in October of 2016. The internal team was myself, it was Mr. Dahlber, it was Mr. Loeffler. Dewey Engineering was very involved with it. They did site visits for us, some site surveys. We had Mrs. Michelle Burkholder on the team looking at it from a security and safety standpoint to make sure that we were looking at the right features. We had network technicians, network consultants. So we had a lot of us kind of trying to vet a couple of the big players. So the ones that we went out and we seriously vetted were Cisco, Mitel, Avaya, and a company called Digium. We went through multiple site visits. We went down to the Cisco lab down in Malvern 2 times. We had Cisco on site, we had Mitel on site, we had Avaya on site. And we looked at all the features and we came out in February with the top 2 vendors that we felt met the needs of the district, and they were Cisco and Mitel. So we put together a request for proposal, which was pretty comprehensive, I believe, and we sent it out to 6 vendors. So we did a targeted RFP is what we did. We went to 3 Cisco vendors and 3 Mitel vendors, partners, to see what kind of pricing we could get back. The proposals were received at the end of March, March 29th. At that point, we identified the top 2 vendors, and the top 2 vendors, the one for Cisco was ePlus Technologies, and the one for Mitel was CENet, a company in Warminster. At that point, we wanted to evaluate and refine the offers a little bit. We had some questions, they had some questions for us, so we actually brought the top 2 vendors back into the district, and we had a meeting with them, and we were able to refine a couple questions that we had, and we were able to refine the offers a little bit as well. So that leads us now to the recommendation to the board here on May 3rd, 2017. So that's kind of the history of where we came from. So the proposals that we received, the pricing that we received that you're going to be looking at includes the phone system, it's the hardware, it's the software, it's the installation and configuration services, and it's a 5-year maintenance contract. It does not include the cost for the new cabling or the demolition of the old system. We originally had that in the proposal, but we drew that back, and we're going to actually move that to the camera project and to the electrical upgrades. It just seemed to make more sense to give all the cabling to the cabling contractors coming through with the cameras, and to actually do the demo as part of like the MDF, the IDF electrical upgrades. We just think for economies of scale, we can get better pricing if we have one vendor doing the cabling rather than, we've got the camera guy doing cabling, then we have the phone guy doing cabling as well. Just made more sense to kind of combine them. And it took us a while to come to that conclusion as I look at my friends over here, but I think that was the conclusion we finally came to. So we came out with the proposals of Cisco at $611,109.30, and Mitel at $597,501.92. So it's about $13,000 difference. As far as the recommendation that we would like to bring to you tonight, we are recommending to go with the Cisco Unified Communications Solution. Cisco seems to meet everything that we wanted in the system as far as the UC phone system and also the safety and security features. So when I talk some of the safety and security functions, we're looking at being able to send out mass notifications easily from an administrator's phone or an administrator's cell phone to say, hey, we're in a lockdown mode right now. There's something going on at the high school. It will also, they'll get an email, they can get a phone call, and it will also prompt them to respond, I'm safe, I'm not in the building, I'm not safe. So we can kind of quickly take a survey of, where people are during an emergency situation. So that was something that we felt that Cisco kind of had everything from soup to nuts, what we were looking for. Cisco is also consistently an industry leader according to the Gartner Magic Quadrant, which is a independent evaluator, and they evaluate the voice over IP systems. They evaluate a whole bunch of stuff, but as far as voice over IP, Cisco's up there all the time. They also have a very strong K-12 presence in the area, which is something that we were looking for. The Cisco UC solutions in place, and this is just a small number of them. It's Boyertown, it's our own Bucks IU, Council Rock, Hatboro, Horsham, out in the Lancaster area with Lampeter, Strasburg, Lower Merion, Neshaminy, North Penn, Phoenixville, Pottsgrove, and I have a whole list. So they really do have a strong K-12 presence in the immediate area. Mitel, not so much. We were having kind of a hard time getting references, local references, and we felt that was very important. We want a tried and true solution. It's not a cheap solution, so we want to make sure it's a tried and true solution. Also going for Cisco as a recommendation is the partnership that the district has established with E-Plus technology. At this point, we've had them in here doing multiple different projects. So again, tried and true relationship. And then one of the other things is just the Cisco support model. There's a single point of contact. So no matter if we have a problem with a phone system, if we are having a problem with the network, we have one phone number to call. We have one service ticket. We won't be bounced around from vendor to vendor. It'll all go through one single point of contact. I'm going to open it up to questions because I would imagine you would have a few questions on this proposal. I also have with me Mr. Kyle Lanahan from E-Plus Technologies, so he can certainly speak to his systems in a greater detail probably than I can at this point as well.
If anyone has any questions?
What was the budget for this? $700,000, is that correct?
The budget for the phones was $750.
$750?
Correct.
And you've transferred some of that cost to others, so how close will this be to the budget with those two pieces?
So we're still waiting for those final numbers to come in from a change order for the other two. We're hoping that we're still within just the phone budget. We will definitely be within the whole summer project budget though. Because if you recall, the cameras came in way lower than we had budgeted. So we will not be tipping that at all.
And the plan is to complete this over the summer, the changeover?
Oh, that's the plan. Yes, yes it is. Not only is that the plan, but that will occur, yes.
You heard it here.
Oh, yeah.
Well, like you said, because some of the cabling and the wiring is going to be working in conjunction with the camera project.
Absolutely. So we're going to be timing not only the cameras, but the network refreshes and the voice over IP. So now's the time, it's just the time to strike. It seems like we're doing a lot, but it all kinds of just dovetails into each other. And I think we can really take advantage of, economy of scales of getting everything done at one time.
So if, through the summer, like for instance, then you're a district admin, they're in, so how will it affect you while they're ripping out the old and putting in the new? Yeah, yeah.
Take conversion.
So we won't cut over until we're totally ready to cut over. So there will be a day where the phones will be down, and there will be a cut, and there'll be a,
And just
a
go into the
total-
new ones.
Correct.
Okay.
Now, the administrators who are here, they're kind of have an advantage because we can be running like the new system, they can be, testing the new phones while we still have the old phones up and running.
Simultaneous, yeah.
Correct. Now, the teachers, that's going to be a little different because we'll be removing their phones, their handsets, over the summertime. So they'll come into new technology.
New technology.
Correct.
Okay.
So we'll have to have, like a
Some
little
sort of
session.
Training,
You got
short
it.
training
Yes.
for them.
Correct.
Anybody else?
Are the teacher's phones, are they, right now, I assume they're attached to the wall? Are they still going to be attached to the wall, or will they be movable?
No, they'll be, so they'll actually, we're trying to get most of them off of the walls and onto the desk, more for a safety thing than anything. Plus it's, since it's voice over IP, it'll be connected right into the data port, and then their computer can be, it's power over Ethernet, so their computer can go right through the phone as well. So it'll be on their desk. There'll also be a soft client that they can use as well, so their phone can be on their computer as well.
Go ahead.
So Diane, to give everybody the full picture, at some point through the summer, everything's going to be taken apart and put back together.
You
right?
got it.
And there's going to be probably a number of outages throughout the summer with the server refresh and the camera install and the phone system install.
Yes, so we're
And the
trying,
electrical upgrades.
so we're trying to minimize that. We'll do some work in the evenings, we're gonna try and do some work in the evenings. The actual cable pulls shouldn't really affect too many people. Camera is actually starting on Monday. They're gonna start some of the work on Monday in the District Support Center, the stadium, and Jeff's building. So, and then everything else will really gear up once, the kids are out.
Anybody? Barry?
So you touched on it, and I think you said something like this system, the new phone system is going to coexist with the cameras. Is that the wrong word I'm using? It's going in together. Is there a dual functionality feature, or are we going to be buying that later, somewhere down the road? I know it's kind of a broad question.
So, I mean, your
Or they don't need to be together.
So your cameras are, one function, obviously, and your phone is another function. So it's not like you're going to be able to dial up the camera on your phone. Where they're going to run together is they'll all be new devices coming onto the network, into the new switches. Now, there will be some overlap, and I'll loosely call it overlap, of the cameras and the phone system, where if there is an emergency, we can actually embed the URL of the camera that we want to be looking at in one of those messages that we send out, so that you can kind of go right into the correct camera. So that's really the overlap there. So otherwise, they're two separate systems though.
Okay. And it's under, you pulled out cabling, and that resulted in the cost of the phones. Did you adjust that number down to get to where you ended up because you pulled the cabling out?
So we had asked, on the original pricing sheet, we had asked for we pulled out just the phone system. So we wanted to see just what the phones were, just what the cabling was. So in this way, it was like, okay, cabling, we feel that we can do better if we, put it on a change order.
And that cost got transferred into the other side?
Correct.
The camera side?
Correct.
So-
The camera,
So it's just a wash there,
you got it.
it's not additional?
Correct. But what you're
Additional
seeing,
above the budget, what you budgeted. I know you're under the budget.
we are under the budget, so the price that you're seeing there, that $611,000, that is for the phone. So that's everything soup to nuts for the phones, but not the cabling.
Okay, one final thing, for me anyway. What are some things that could end up costing us more money that might come up, that typically has come up? Maybe we could ask the rep, is there anything we're going to be surprised by? We can't do this, it doesn't work, we have to bring in something else, power up, more power?
So
something
in
like that.
theory,
I know that's kind of a weird question, but
Sure.
I just have to ask it.
absolutely.
So what we've seen in the past, sorry about that. So what we've seen in the past is your add-ons are going to be areas where you potentially might need another phone. You might say, hey, we're going to open up halfway through the project another area in the school where we feel as if there's going to be a need for a phone. As far as extra things, I feel very confident that what we put in front of you is, going to replace what you currently have today. So as far as, obviously, this is man-made technology, right? I can't control if there's an area in this school where their power is an issue, right? That may not fall under us for this project. So as far as I'm concerned, from our standpoint, what we've brought to the board, I feel very confident that there won't be any add-ons unless there are items that you feel as if you want to add, the district wants to add on.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. I just wanted to add one thing real quick. As far as the two systems, what you currently have now and what we're going to be implementing this summer, as we begin our implementation, we're actually going to encourage that internally that the district currently uses the new phone. So therefore, as we all know, the end of August creeps on us significantly fast, especially throughout the summer. We're going to encourage internal dialogue between individuals to be used on the new phone system. And then once we feel comfortable with the way the structure of the system is, we'll then cut you over to have the ability to dial, receive, and take calls from external. So that's an expectation that we're going to expect from the district to use the new phones, although you may not be able to call externally, but just to have the internal communication, so therefore everyone's familiar when the cutover takes place. So, thank you.
Anybody else? Any other questions? No? Yes? No? So do we want to move this forward with the Cisco? Is everyone in agreement with that? With the recommendation? Yes? Okay.
If I could add, Cisco was also the switching for all of the IDF and MDF. So what we're doing is making a little bit more consistency with our hardware. So every IDF closet, wherever there are switches that collect, whether it's computer data, phone data, it's not the reason that Diana made the selection, but it certainly helps to have the service contract, the single point of contact for hardware across the district. We'll actually be able to use more functions of the systems because they can all talk to each other.
Go ahead. So right now, we don't have VoIP, we have just regular phones. So we're adding the voice over internet phone, the cameras, and these other electrical things. I'm no techie, but is our system, whatever system controls all of these things, is it ready to manage all of these new items we're putting on it?
So yes, so we're increasing bandwidth over the summer through the IU. So currently we have 600 meg, we're going to a gig. The switches will be a gig, actually convertible up to 10 gigs when we're ready for that, but we don't have delivery of that yet. But yes, so we're going to be adding gateways for redundancy. We're adding some additional switches so we make sure we have ports for everything. So great question there. So yes, we feel like the backbone is ready and we feel like we should be able to pull this all off. Yes. No, that was a great question. Absolutely.
All right, so we'll move this forward. And then our last item tonight on the agenda is the Market Street, discussion of the Market Street Sports Group.
Thank you, Mrs. Schmidt. So we currently have an agreement with the Market Street Sports Group, as you know, and that was board approved at this point already. We received an inventory list as the next step of marketable structures, and that was discussed several times at ad hoc committee fundraising meetings. And Market Street's ready at this point to begin making phone calls to potential corporate sponsors. So at our last ad hoc fundraising meeting in April, we discussed